The role of humans in operating an aircraft is as essential as the plane itself. Teamwork and effective management are vital to a safe operation. When it breaks down, safety can be put at risk. United Airlines Flight 173 is en route to Portland International Airport on a cold but clear afternoon on December 28, 1978. The McDonnell Douglas DC-8 departed from New York JFK International earlier in the day, before making a stop in Denver, Colorado. At the controls of United 173 is a highly experienced crew. Captain Malburn McBroom has 27,600 hours of flight time and is one of United's most senior pilots. First Officer Roderick Beebe has been with the airline for 13 years and has 5,200 hours, while the flight engineer, Forrest Mendenhall, has 3,900 flight hours and has also been with United for over 10 years. 181 passengers are on board along with 8 crew. The planned flight time is expected to be 2 hours and 26 minutes. Performance calculations show that this will burn 31,900 pounds of fuel. There were 46,700 pounds of fuel on board when the flight departed Denver, a considerable margin above the minimum fuel required, which includes 45 minutes of holding as well as 20 minutes for other contingencies. Captain McBroom, as on all flights, monitors the fuel state as the flight progresses. He notes that the actual fuel burn remains close to the predicted burn for the entire flight. Weather information at Portland advises a layer of scattered cloud with a visibility of 30 miles. There is a light northerly breeze and the temperature is 30 degrees Fahrenheit. The first officer is flying the aircraft as United 173 descends into Portland. At 5:05 PM, the captain contacts Portland approach for the first time.
Good evening approach, United 173, maintaining 10,000 and reducing speed.
United 173 approach, maintain heading for a visual approach, runway 28.
Maintain heading for the visual runway 28. We have the field in sight, United 173.
And United 173 continue descent to 6,000.
Down to 6,000, leaving 10,173.
The first officer begins configuring for the straight-in approach as the aircraft descends through 8,000 feet. He initially requests for the wing flaps to be extended and landing gear lowered.
Flaps 15, gear down.
Speed checks, flaps 15, gear down.
As the gear is lowered, an unusual sound is heard from the aircraft's belly. The landing gear system is designed for the wheels to be lowered smoothly, with a firm thump expected as the main gear locks into place. However, Captain McBroom hears a double thump in both sound and feel. The first officer, who is at the controls, feels the aircraft yaw to the right. Even some passengers hear the unusually loud noise as well as out-of-place jolt. The crew look down to discover that they only have one green light, indicating that the nose gear is down. However, unilluminated are the green indicator lights for the 2 main gear, signalling that the wheels may not be properly down and locked. Just as the crew are beginning to diagnose the problem, air traffic control makes contact.
United 173 heavy, contact the tower 118.7.
Negative, we'll stay with you. We'll stay at 5,000 feet and maintain about 170 knots. We've got a gear problem, we'll let you know.
United 173 heavy, roger. Maintain 5,000. Turn left, heading 200.
5,000, left heading 200. United 173.
Over the next 23 minutes, Flight 173 is vectored in a holding pattern to the southeast of the airport. The flight crew use this time to discuss the landing gear problem, as well as work through several procedures to try to solve the issue. One way that the wheels can be confirmed down in the DC-8 is by a visual inspection of the gear indicators on top of both wings. They are mechanically connected to the landing gear system and extend above the wing surface when the gear is down and locked. The flight engineer walks mid-cabin and finds that the indicators are in the extended position. The captain briefs the first flight attendant in the meantime. He asks her to get the cabin ready for an abnormal landing. This involves preparing the cabin for a possible evacuation and ensuring passengers are aware of the proper brace position. If the landing gear collapses on landing, an extremely hard touchdown will occur, which could likely damage the aircraft and injure passengers. Therefore, the captain needs to be sure that both the aircraft and its occupants are fully ready before commencing an approach. The captain contacts United San Francisco at 5:44 p.m. to make the company aware of the situation. He estimates that they will be landing at 5 minutes past the hour, but wants to take his time to ensure everybody is ready. United 173 continues to circle in a triangular pattern to the southeast of Portland. It is maintaining 5,000 feet with its gear and flaps extended. The attention of the first officer and flight engineer now turns to the aircraft's fuel state. The significant fuel margin which the aircraft had is now being chewed into as it continues to hold.
How much fuel we got?
5,000.
5?
That's about right. The feed pumps are starting to blink. Did you check the main gear back there?
Yeah, both of them appear to be down and locked.
United 173, heavy turn left, heading 160.
Okay, left 160, 173, heavy. Traffic's out there 9:30 now.
No, he's about 6 o'clock now, the one that I called earlier.
Yeah, I see somebody out there with the light on.
Hey Frosty, give us a current card on a weight figure for about 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah, give us 3,000 or 4,000 on top of zero fuel weight.
15 minutes is going to really run us low on fuel here.
Right.
United 173, heavy, continue your left turn, heading 050.
Okay, left 050.
Okay, take 3,000 pounds. 204.
The flight engineer is trying to make the captain aware that the aircraft is beginning to run low on fuel. However, McBroom still has several tasks he wishes to complete before commencing an approach.
Call the ramp, give him our passenger count including laps. Tell them we'll land with about 4,000 pounds worth of fuel and tell them to give that to the fire department. I want United mechanics to check the airplane after we stop, before we taxi.
Yes, sir.
The flight engineer radios this information through to the ground crew, estimating that they will be landing by 6:05 p.m. He then completes his checks to ensure that the aircraft's systems are ready for an approach.
Okay, approach descent check is complete.
Okay, checking the new ATIS Delta. All I need is the wind, really. Wind is 340 at 8. You want to be sure that flight bags and all that are stowed and fastened. Why don't you put your books in your bag over there, Rod?
How much fuel you got now?
4,000 in each.
Okay.
Captain McBroom sends the flight engineer back into the cabin to see how things are going. He then speaks with his first officer about the landing technique and effectiveness of the brakes. 2 minutes later, the flight engineer returns.
They need another 2 or 3 minutes. We've got about 3 on the fuel, and that's it.
United 173, heavy, did you figure anything out yet about how much longer?
Yeah, we have indication our gear is abnormal. It'll be our intention in about 5 minutes to land on 28 left.
73, heavy. Okay, advise when you'd like to begin the approach. United 173, if you could, give me souls on board and amount of fuel.
We've got 172 plus 6 laps, infants, and about 4,000. We'll make that 3,000 pounds of fuel.
Thank you.
With less than 15 minutes of fuel remaining, the aircraft is now at a critical stage. It is in danger of completely running out of fuel if it does not commence an approach soon. However, the captain is still preoccupied with the landing gear issue.
There is one thing we missed.
What?
Checking the landing gear horn.
The captain directs the flight engineer to test the landing gear horn, an alert which will sound if the gear is not down when the flaps are extended past a certain position. Before the first flight attendant enters the cockpit, she confirms that the cabin is fully ready for landing. Seemingly oblivious to the now critical fuel state, the captain discusses further plans regarding a potential evacuation. Just as the flight attendant leaves the cockpit, one of the DC-8's 4 engines begins to roll back.
I think you just lost number 4, buddy.
Better get some crossfeeds open there or something.
Okay.
We're going to lose an engine, buddy.
Why?
We're losing an engine.
Why?
Fuel. Open the crossfeeds, man.
The engine failure clearly takes the crew by surprise. As they look at the fuel state in more detail, they discover that the aircraft may be in grave danger. Captain McBroom hastily contacts air traffic control.
United 173 would like clearance for an approach into 28 left. Now.
United 173, okay? Roll out on heading 010. vector for the visual 28 left, and report when you have the airport in sight.
Very well.
We're gonna lose number 3 in a minute, too. It's showing 0.
The flight engineer commences procedures to restart the lost engine. However, with just fumes left in the tanks, he receives no response.
Still not getting it.
We'll open all 4 crossfeeds.
All 4?
Yeah? Gotta keep 'em running, Frosty.
Yes, sir.
Get this thing on the ground.
Yeah, it's showing not very much more fuel.
United 173 has got the field in sight now, and we'd like an ASR.
Okay, United 173 Heavy, maintain 5,000.
Air traffic control directs 173 towards the airport. However, it appears now that it won't make the distance as the second engine spools down.
How far do you show us from the field?
I'd call it 18 flying miles.
Alright.
Boy, that fuel sure went to heck all of a sudden. Told you we had 4.
Okay, let's take the shortest route to the airport.
There's a kind of an interstate type thing along that bank on the river in case we're short.
It's all too late for United 173 as it makes a beeline for the airport.
We just lost 2 engines, guys.
Sir?
We just lost 2 engines, 1 and 2.
You got all the pumps on and everything?
Yep.
They're all going.
We can't make it. Portland Tower, United 173 Heavy. The engines are flaming out. We're going down. We're not going to be able to make it to the airport.
United 173 drops below the glide slope and crashes into a suburban area, 6 miles short of Portland International. The wreckage spread is across a 1,500-foot long area. The impact trauma of the crash kills 10 people on board the plane, including the flight engineer and the first flight attendant. There are no casualties on the ground, however, despite 2 homes being destroyed, as well as phone and power lines being damaged. The investigation into United 173 needed to answer 2 key questions surrounding the crash. Firstly, what caused the landing gear problem and how serious was it? And second, what were the circumstances which allowed 173 to completely run out of fuel? The first problem faced by the crew was the landing gear issue. There was an abnormal noise and feeling as the gear was lowered, and cockpit indications showed that it was in an unsafe position. The investigation revealed that the problem was caused by severe corrosion in the landing gear actuator piston rod. Normally, this part helps dampen the fall of the gear when it's extended. However, due to the severe corrosion, the piston rod was pulled apart, allowing the right main gear to free fall when it was lowered by the flight crew. At the same time, the left main gear was extended normally, at a slower rate. Thus, the drag on the left side was significantly lower for a short period of time. This produced a transient yaw as the wheels dropped, as was noted by the first officer at the time. The rapid fall of the right wheel had further effects. It broke the micro switch for the gear indicator, and damaged the electrical circuit, thus producing the worrying indication in the cockpit. It was this single indication which occupied the minds of the crew for so long. The captain was the most concerned. Landing with the wheels in an unsafe position can be deadly. Therefore, he wanted to exhaust every available option to confirm the position of the wheels, as well as prepare the passengers for a possible evacuation. It was this mindset, though, which led McBroom astray. The investigation found that after the 28 minutes between informing ATC and contacting company dispatch, the crew had done everything possible to ensure the integrity of the landing gear. A safe landing could have been made by 5:40 PM. However, the captain continued to be engrossed by the gear issue, and had little to no regard for the aircraft's fuel state. While the other crew members did consider that the aircraft was low on fuel, they did not calculate the actual time to fuel exhaustion. When the gear issue first developed, there were 13,334 pounds of fuel on board. The normal fuel holding rate in a DC-8 is 11,200 pounds of fuel per hour. However, with the gear and flaps partially extended, the NTSB estimated that the fuel burn was as high as 13,209 pounds of fuel per hour. The crew most likely had a good mental model of how much fuel corresponded to how much time. However, With the fuel burn significantly higher in this case, a calculation was needed to determine the exact time until the aircraft ran dry. The NTSB stated in their report that the flight crew failed to do this, because their attention was directed almost entirely towards diagnosing the landing gear problem. The National Transport Safety Board made 15 findings in its report for the crash of United 173. It stated that the probable cause was the failure of the captain to properly monitor and respond to the aircraft's fuel state, due to his preoccupation with the landing gear malfunction. The NTSB stated that the failure of the other 2 crew members also contributed to the accident, as they either did not fully comprehend or communicate the seriousness of the fuel state. Cockpit Resource Management, or CRM, is a concept in aviation to describe the team of crew members in an aircraft. It involves the effective use of all available people and resources to ensure a safe operation. The learnings of United 173 are extremely significant to the modern concept of CRM. One of the safety recommendations in the final report urged airlines to begin flight deck resource management training, with a particular focus on management for captains and assertiveness for other crew members. This focus on human non-technical skills has become highly important to the modern-day operation of aircraft. It is now recognised that cognitive and interpersonal skills in the cockpit are just as important as flying the aircraft itself, and all airlines around the world now incorporate this philosophy into their training. CRM is not just limited to the aviation sector. It is utilised in other areas such as healthcare and firefighting, industries where cognitive ability and teamwork are vital to a successive outcome. Cockpit resource management skills were clearly lacking in the accident of United 173, and as a result, 10 lives were tragically lost. It is now seen, however, as a significant turning point in the world of aviation safety, which is now centered around humans and their role in the aircraft, because elements of CRM are just as important to safety as the plane itself.